I'm horny, hungry, lazy, still evil.
Still
Or the Forsaken are.
evil.
Or that's the ones we're talking about. Those are the ones we're talking about today as we continue this topic. Let's see who's in chat. Oh, hey, Leah. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. We got some peoples.
Hey.
Oh my God, it's Leia.
Leah loves the new opening. Oh my gosh, thank you.
I love that you love the new opening. It was the original. It was the gentleman in the descriptions below that wrote the music for our intro, Slylock, and he translated in the old tongue lyrics for our opening, and it was super kind of him. And mwah. Massive shout out to Slylock, the GOAT, the most amazing Slanja.
Thanks so much.
Epic music right there.
It's great. And it's not the last time you'll hear it. Surprise, surprise. It's the longest excerpt you'll hear. Which I still need to fix. I need to make it a little bit longer so it doesn't loop back over for the intro kind of stuff.
Yeah, you do. You son of a bitch.
Well, you know, I'm a busy guy.
I don't know what that's like at all. I just sit around all day doing nothing.
I knew it. I knew it was all a lie. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew. I'm your Bajan Mahale. I do Bajan things.
It's true, guys.
I'm Reese, your Aethon Mahale. I do gloved things.
Oh. Because with no glove, there is no love. And I'm John.
No glove, you better drop it like it's hot.
I'm your Sorva Mahale, and I do lightning things. Things that the moment's notice so quick to happen that you almost could imagine they didn't. That's just the depth of my brilliance.
Little Johnny Depp there. Just a little bit. A little Jack Sparrow. Better be careful, man. You need to go check your bed. Make sure there's not a... Never mind. Anyway. Oh, how are y'all doing?
I frequently check to make sure there's not a never mind.
Well, you know.
But you did.
You got to be careful of those never minds.
It's another edition of Black Tar Podcast, which means it's another dose of your weekly dose of taint, which means welcome.
You know what goes well with your dose of taint? Dose of energy from our friends over here at w.gg, where you can use code BTP or click the link in the show notes or description below and get 10% off any of the Jittoless products, any of the products over at w.gg. They're fantastic. They've got blender bottles, shaker cups. Well, I don't know what brand they are. They're probably not blender bottle, but they got shaker cups for all of your kind of pre-workout stuff. I've got two that I've been using because, you know, your boy's been back in the gym. I've almost got 19-inch arms after a pump day at the gym. That's fucking nuts, man. I'm so happy about that. I just found that out today. I definitely got a body tape. Doesn't look like it, but they're there. Oh, man, I'm so excited about it. Anyway, they got shaker cups, they got stickers, they got shirts, and, of course, the start of the show, their Jittoless Energy, which we still need to get Reese some of, though. But she's so energetic and off the walls and really hard to control during an episode as it is. I'm nervous and scared. It would definitely be a helmet night. Josh, I love you so much.
Thank you, everybody. This is Josh. I'll be signing off and crawling back down a hole.
Announcing my retirement. Oh. Come on back now.
You can't tell me what to do.
Say, like, this is the moment where he turned off his camera and now it's decided to be a pain in the ass and won't turn back on.
That's exactly what I was going to do.
Imagine buying a really nice Canon camera just to get canceled.
That's the one that finally stuck. There it is, right there.
Out of all the shit that we've said, all it took was him slipping powder to our DEI hire.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. I take it back. We're not slipping anything into anyone's drinks.
Where's this fucking weed, period?
Dubby, shut up! You got to stay with me here, buddy. Friendo,
Dubby's like, please stop.
I'm here, but my hand's on the fucking ripcord for this parachute.
Next Gathering Madness, I'm going to incorporate Dubby into a cocktail. And
hell yeah.
If you listening out there, if you buy some Dubby and incorporate it into a cocktail, I'm just going to tell you right now, you'll get a prize right off the bat. Just remind me that I said that, because I will have forgotten that.
Flip
5
that
minutes
and
from now.
save it for October.
Yeah. I will have forgotten about that 5 minutes from now, let alone 8 months from now.
Josh is known for digging holes, to tell you what, right? But Leia will remember. Leia always remember. Oh, adding it to our notes. Awesome. I think this is why Leia's one of the best event coordinators out there.
Oh, sorry. Yes, and that's true. Debbie has a bunch of collabs going on right now with.
Oh yeah, they have a fucking pomegranate one with Kakashi.
Yeah, they've got Solo Leveling, Chainsaw Man, and oh boy, Freerin.
Yeah,
I do love Freerin. That's a good one.
So they've got those collabs going right now. They've got bottles that you can get featuring them, different styles.
Oh wait, sorry, it's G Fuel that's doing the Kakashi one. W, you should do some fucking Naruto collabs. If you can get Chainsaw Man and Solo Leveling, you can get fucking Naruto.
Unless G Fuel has a exclusive on
it. Fuck them. Go for 7 Deadly Sins.
Escanor. What flavor would Escanor be? I feel like it'd be something citrus.
I mean, yeah, something very sunny.
Yeah,
maybe something with like a little bit of spice kick to it, like a little like tahini in it.
There's a company down here.
Called, like, white guy every in the show, sunrise, but... like not Tahitian sunrise, every sunrise, all sunrises. That's
there's a. Is it Epic? No, that's not it.
Oh, this must be like a fucking VTuber. There's like Lunar Bunny metal bottle, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? They have air fresheners. What the fuck does a W air freshener smell like? And a flag? You just take a sniff and it gets you going. But that is nuts though that they got like the Solo Leveling collab going on.
Debbie's gonna ask us to not mention them anymore. We're like
Shadow Monarch Surge, which is a spoiler if you don't know what's going on. Icarus Strike. And then you skip one, and then there's Grandpa's Denture Water. Limited release. What?
That's something.
Purple Dub Sauce.
We love you, Debbie. We're going to get all of them. Maybe not right now. But
they do have a complete collector's bundle for
I'm going to be so
Man.
upset now if I don't find this.
Japanese soda flavor, just generic Japanese soda. Sweet and sour blue raz.
Oh, yeah, cool. They got a desk mouse pad. They got hoodies.
Retro rainbow sherbet. Anyway, W's got a bunch of cool stuff. Go and check them out. Again, use code BTP or use the link in the show notes description below to get 10% off your order. It's fantastic stuff. We've tried the product. It has been a minute, so they could have changed the formula. We got to get some and try it just to make sure. Quality assurance. Quality assurance. The fuck is this? Okay, never mind. That's the notes for the Gathering Madness. Go and check them out. Let us know what you think. Yeah.
There's legendary supplements. So okay, sorry. So we were talking about real quick. There was a company here in Utah, Legendary Supplements, and they have it's like a nootropic blend, right? And you drink it, it tastes really good, but they will have like something they call the what did he call it? Basically like a wake up moment, right? Where there's a mojito flavor that as soon as you drink it, you get the sour hit and you go, whoa. There's a flavor that's got a spicy kick to it, and you drink, and it's just a real sharp kick in the mouth right at the beginning of it. And it was great. And they were awesome and they tasted delicious. The only problem is they worked so well for me that they reversed my ADD and made me just want to go to sleep. It was terrible. But I know 2 other people who tried them for 2 weeks and was like, these are the best damn things I've ever had. Maybe we'll.
I want to see Josh on my pre-workout.
I used to take pre-workout before I did my PT test in the Air Force.
This isn't normal.
Which is really great. It was really great for the push-up, sit-ups portion. Not so great for the run portion.
This is when you get a chance, look into it. Edge of Insanity pre-workout. Their shit is nuts. I didn't find it. One of the guys in the office found it.
Love it.
Yeah, it's crazy good though. Obviously for the gym, that kind of stuff. I don't know about doing it for running. It's pre-workout and cardio doesn't really seem to be a good combination.
It's not.
Especially for today though, when I was yawning on my way to the gym before I took the pre-workout, it was a great idea. Yeah. There was even a little bit left in my creatine whenever I got home from the gym. So there's that. But you know what? There's always more than a little left of This segue into our episode, brought to you by the Soravan Mahale.
You know it's going to be great. You know, well, wait. Did we spoiler warning our friends?
Do we want a spoiler warning before or after the segue?
We can do the segue now. Okay.
I think the segue is largely spoiler free. Doesn't get too far into it.
Okay.
Lets them know what we're talking about.
I like where
they know
at.
why they're being spoiled.
I like where your brain's at. Love it.
In my skull.
Tonight's a part 2. It's a continuation. It's a topic we've discussed previously. But just to give you a little bit of a refresher, it's about the Forsaken. But it's not about the Forsaken. It's about what makes the Forsaken tick. They're not just villains. They're reflections of failures in the human condition. Not only are they that, they're extreme examples of said failures. So the real question lies in what sins and failures define them. Because as we see through the books, it didn't matter how strong they were. It didn't matter that they were stronger than everybody else. In part 1, we covered pride. We covered envy. We covered the sins. We covered the big, flashy ones. But tonight, we're doing something a little out of character for the Black Tower, and we're going to be quiet. No, we're not. But we are going to cover the quieter sins. We're going to cover the quieter sides of those human failures that influence the Forsaken. Sins of greed, lust, gluttony, and sloth. The sins of indulgence, excess, and apathy that rot the Forsaken from the inside out. These aren't rankings. These aren't archetypes. Some Forsaken, well, whatever they are or aren't.
Or archetype.
Whatever they are or aren't, we're talking about them. I fucking tell you right
Forsaken
now.
fit in some of them. It's a Venn diagram. There's overlap. And we're going to discuss it all.
It's an onion.
This is the Black Tower podcast.
I could have just let you
these
finish.
These are the quiet sins.
I could have let you finish. My fucking inner asshole was on me. You're like, I know, but they are archetypes, actually. Anyway, say the last line again. Do, please.
This is the Black Tower podcast, and these are the Forsaken's darkest quiet sins. That was well directed.
I'm pretty sure Reese puts us both to shame for
hard agree
for these little intro things. So,
hard agree.
Okay. That's an interesting start to the whole episode. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight. And before we get too much further into it, and you know what, I'm just gonna. Here's your spoiler warning. Here, listen, pay attention.
Welcome to the Black Tower. This is your spoiler condom. If you have not read the complete works of Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time, books 1 to 14, and also New Spring, Big Bad Book of White Art, and The Companion, you are at risk of being spoiled. Spoilers come with side effects. These side effects may include headache, nausea, vomiting, death, dizziness, vaginal or penile eruptions and ejaculations, dysentery, cardiac arrhythmia, mild heart explosions, varicose veins, darkened stool, darkened souls, more vomiting, arthritis, hemorrhoids or diabetes, virginity, mild discomfort, vampirism or werewolfism, gender inequality for the whole planet, spontaneous dental hydroplosion, sugar highs, even more vomiting, or maybe just a mild rash. If you cannot deal with these side effects, please leave now, for fear of spoilers. You have been warned.
Yeah. Reese, that's the thing I was working on before or during the pre-recording.
Oh, okay.
So.
That looks nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Glorious. Absolutely
a couple
glorious.
different ones. I've always like had a kind of, I don't want to say issue, but disliked the fact that like we would play the spoiler warnings and it's just us just sitting here being like, or trying to like mime some shit, and it's never really been my thing. So generally I just sit here and it makes me like take like a bunch of sips, especially for the longer ones. Giggity. So trying to put something together, all that kind of stuff. So, all right, to talk about part 2 of assigning the Forsaken to the 7 deadly sins, or the 7 deadly sins to the Forsaken, or both, or whatever. Who cares which way you go? Rules of this thought experiment exercise.
26, you can go whichever way you want.
Yeah. Criteria for assigning a sin. We're looking at core motivation over the entire arc of the character. So what their core motivation is instead of like what they do over the arc. Choices made even when it costs them. How the sin leads to their downfall. For the scope of this is going to be a book canon focus. We may like nod to different things from the show if it's applicable or just fits or we like it. Pre and post sealing, and that's the sealing by Luz Theron. Their behavior before and after that sealing counts. And we'll address some overlap about things like why power doesn't necessarily equal pride by default, ambition doesn't equal greed automatically, that kind of stuff. So for the sins and all, for each sin, we'll define the sin very briefly. We'll assign it to whoever we're going to assign it to for the Forsaken. Then we will do our best to defend it with evidence. And then we will acknowledge the different counter arguments. And again, when we say assign it, we each have an opportunity to make our own assignment. So it may be the one that we have on our handy dandy outline here. It may not be. And then with that, there may or may not be some honorable mentions during the segment on that 7 deadly sin, or there may be honorable mentions later on. Just kind of depends on what happens. Just because we have an outline doesn't mean we have to like religiously follow it, even though I know I tend to point us in that direction all the time.
It's good to have an outline though, because it does keep us kind of on track.
Yeah.
It's our little leash to the topic.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's our ADHD leash to the topic. Okay, let's be real.
All right. Oh my god, this is way too... I forgot where my brief overviews of the sins went. Hold on. Not over there.
I feel like we probably said this in the first episode that we covered with this, but I really enjoyed that almost every show, every fantasy, every series, you can find characters that fit these sins. Like it's almost universal that you can find at least some way, like maybe not perfectly, but you can at least like, oh, this person, fits this pretty well. And it's like across all of them, it gets to be kind of fun to try and like assign the roles in each different, story that you look at. So I think it's just, just as fun to do it with the Wheel of Time as any others. I just enjoy this topic.
Okay, now I know what I was looking for. The word I was looking for was monastic. Because a lot of the 7 deadly, like the 7 deadly sins aren't actually, and we said this in part 1, they're not expressly laid out in the Bible. Like there's no Bible passage where like anybody's saying like the sin of lust, the sin of greed. These are all monastic traditions. And each one has like a really kind of like long and kind of deep-seated philosophical ideology behind it. I'm just going to go very, very super briefly over it because, of course, you can always look this up, and I think the brief description does enough for what we're doing here. So, again, when it comes to lust, early monks believed that sin didn't begin with actions, it began with thoughts. So when you strip away society, food, excess, wealth, and power, what remains are desire and imagination. Lust was dangerous to monks, not because it led to scandal, but because it fractured their attention, pulled the mind away from prayer, and replaced communion with God with fantasy and domination. In other words, lust wasn't about sex, it was about the loss of inner freedom. The first formal treatment comes from Evagrius Ponticus in the 4th century, where he identified lust, or porneia, as one of the 8 logismoi, or intrusive habitual thought patterns that attack the soul.
There you have it.
It's basically sins or desires that hijack the mind and turn people more into objects than it does, recognizing them as people.
Yeah, there's also, when we start talking about, religious tradition, you can't have the conversation without acknowledging that a lot of this is very, very catch-all, right? It was real easy to say, oh my God, I like my neighbor's new car. Man, it was great. And then for the priest or clergy or whoever it was to say, whoa, careful, you're lusting after that car. So it's like I like the distinction you made there, Andrew. It's not about sex necessarily. It's about distraction. It's about something having control over your focus, which could easily be described on any category. But obviously, this is the particular flavor of lust.
Yeah. So I've talked more than enough. Reese, do you have somebody for lust?
So I think, pretty much when you think about the Wheel of Time and Lust, there's one character that comes to mind, especially when we're thinking of the Forsaken / Chosen. And of course, that's Graendal. She operates in the realm of pleasure and beauty, and it's heavily sexualized. It's pretty much like spot on lust. There's not even much creativity there with that one. And I think it fits well with the extra definition as well, where she has she likes her ornaments. She has her pretty people that she enslaves so she can have them around her. She uses compulsion on those people to make them bend to her will. That's kind of her thing. She likes those beautiful things, her collection. Even one of the things is her furniture. She has these people contort themselves so that she can sit on them, so she can literally sit on their beauty.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Really sound that comfortable.
And so I feel like she's a pretty easy pick for this. She has her, it's like the hedonism plus the cruelty. She's not just doing it for the fun of it. Like, she still has a plot. She still has a ploy. It's almost part of that. Like, that is part of that ploy, is to make people think that she is superficial, that all she cares about are these things, because that's not all that she lusts after is beauty. She lusts after power, just like any of the Forsaken lust after power. That's part of
that's like a foundational motivator. Like,
like a prerequisite.
Yeah. Do you want power? Join the Chosen.
More than anything.
That's you, Josh. Do you have another person that you think better out of the Forsaken or Chosen? Do you have another that better in your mind fits lust?
No,
or do you agree?
Will say, like, outside of lust, right? Like, outside of like a lust for power, I mean, you could probably make this kind of goes back to my original point of the 7 deadly sins being more of a catch-all, right? You can it's like astrology, you can find reasons why it fits every single situation. It's okay, cool, fine, I get it. But if we're going to go with some more stricter guidelines here, then Graendal has a lust for power. She does. She is what happens when a person who lives a very what's the term for it? Like a very restrained life, right? She was very disciplined. She was very restrained, and she kind of got to a breaking point where she was like, no. Why am I not participating in all of these wonderful delights and pleasures of the flesh? And she kind of makes that her personality. Reese, you mentioned the hedonism right there, and you're absolutely bang on right there. She becomes like a grade A hedonist, which I think is great about her character. But again, she also uses that as sort of a facade, a sort of a front. And you could even make the case that is you could even make the case that she's got some pride overlap there as well, right? Because she creates this facade that is both real and not real at the same time. And there's a sort of pride in that. She has a pride in her abilities with, compulsion and manipulation weaves. And there's just a lot of things that she has a lot, and she kind of views herself as smarter than the rest. And we see this especially in the end when she's cursed to be ugly and changed her name to Hessalam. And she's like, y'all thought this was a punishment. You took away my big boobs and my big hips and my smooth skin and my whatever. And you made her disformed and disfigured and ugly, quote unquote ugly. But what she understood that nobody else did was that when you compel someone, it doesn't matter what you look like. You can say to them, I'm the most beautiful in the world. You only desire me. You only lust after me. And therein is her element of pride, where it doesn't matter what she looks like. It doesn't matter what she's going through. It doesn't matter what punishment she's going through. She cannot be vulnerable. She will not be vulnerable, and she will continue to feed that lust for herself to other people. And I think that makes her actually a much deeper character than we give her credit.
Yeah, I think she's one of the better, the deeper Forsaken. And I would like to point out Leia. Leia brought up my runner-up in this one, and that is Lanfear. Because if there's somebody who lusts after power, it is Lanfear for sure.
Power and knowledge, really.
Yeah.
So we touched on this during part 1. Namely in our discussion about pride versus envy with Demandred versus Samael, right? And that how it can be difficult to make the distinction between the sins, and like where does lust become pride, where does pride become envy, or envy become pride? And again, like in early Christian psychology or philosophy, Vigarius Ponticus and later Thomas Aquinas, which you'd remember Thomas Aquinas' name from the first time, even though we didn't delve into his history. There's some of the Christian philosophical names in the concepts of the 7 deadly sins. This is really what they tried to describe and argue and bring the crux of each sin down to, by chiefly focusing on what the desire is and how the desire. So what it desires and how it desires. So lust becomes unique because the object is generally another person, and the mode becomes consumption or domination, and its failure reduces a person to an experience. So to put it in contrast to pride is about the self, whereas lust is about using others. Pride says I am superior, lust says you exist. What's another good one that we talked about? Greed. Well, we haven't talked about greed yet, but brought up as a difference. Greed wants to possess, lust wants to consume. Greed hoards and accumulates and says mine. Lust uses, discards, and replaces and says again. So when you ask the important questions, like you guys are, like hey, lusting after power and everything, this is the very things that Evagrius Ponticus and Thomas Aquinas were discussing and arguing, like how is this lust versus this being pride. And it's very important distinction, and it's a hard distinction to make, which is why the 7 deadly sins are such a popular thing. How do you distinct lust for power from pride or envy?
It's almost it's almost like you could split her motivations into 2 sins. Like she has her lust for power, but her envy for Luz Theron. Where it's like
for Lanfear, I could see that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. For Lanfear, I feel like you could split her into each of those.
And I was thinking for Graendal, because I agree with the Graendal being, I think, the best candidate for lust. is Graendal seems to be the one that shows the most that everything that she does or tries to attain or whatever goes through the methodology of using others to either showcase it, display it, or acquire it. She is completely obsessed with dominating others and controlling others to her benefit. Because I think one of the first times we see her like hanging out with all of her little, her pretties, what is it? Samael makes a comment about like, isn't that like King so and so and Queen so and so? She's like, oh yeah, it was a simple thing to make them mine, and it's just like, like she just used compulsion to turn a king and queen into her personal playthings, and she even remarks that like she's so good at compulsion that when she's done with one of her objects, one of her ornaments, she doesn't need compulsion anymore because the people are broken so much that they do it of their own will. And
she does it on
how
purpose.
she shows an extensive amount of power, because we never see Graendal. I mean, she is the one responsible for, in the last battle, using compulsion on these legendary great captains leading the fight. And she does it so adeptly that it takes even the reader chapters, or pages rather, because whatever, it takes a long time for the reader, much less anybody in the books, to be like, Gareth, you're kind of fucking up.
Yeah, don't.
Hey, wait, Aginor, not Aginor, Agomar, you're fucking up too.
Agomar.
Why are all of our generals fucking up except for Matt?
Right.
And it's like, compulsion, son of a bitch.
And I think it's interesting to note too that her brand of compulsion is set so that the mind is destroyed intentionally, right? It goes along with what you were saying about how with lust they are used and discarded. She very much
discard, replace.
This isn't a situation in which she's not really good with compulsion, and so she's going to compel them, and then oops, their brain's broken now. No, this is a situation where she says, "I'm compelling you. Also, you will only ever be mine. The second you're not mine, your brain melts and you are useless to anybody. I will ruin you for other people."
Well, she's beyond furious whenever her playthings are taken out of the equation, right? When the great generals are pulled out of it. And then ultimately, as we see, her incessant need and lust for control over people is her undoing, because she tries to use compulsion on Avienda, right? Yeah, Avienda. And Avienda's just like backhands it, it rebounds, and now she basically becomes like one of her own ornaments, but towards Avienda. I mean, it's the poetic kind of Confucianism kind of mix of falling prey to your own sin. In fact, and I know I made this similarity or this comparison last time because it's such a good anime. The Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
Like the it's really the heavenly virtues that do it in the show, but you fall victim to your own sin, and it has a tangible effect that damages you, or causes you to not be able to fight, or kills you even. And it's kind of like this. That's what happened to Graendal. She fell victim to her own lust, and now she's essentially no different than one of her own. I mean, obviously, people are going to treat her better because they're not massive pieces of shit normally,
right?
But yeah. So yeah, in the end, she survives, but is heavily diminished and controlled. Doing nothing, trying to do everything she possibly can to please Avienda, again, which is exactly what she was trying to impose on Avienda, but to please Graendal. Anything else on lust, or anything else on lust before we move to greed? Because I know we are gonna be running short on time.
I will throw out just sort of an honorable mention. I would suggest that Asmodean's desire to master music is a bit of a lust. He's got a lust to understand and master music and musical theory, and I fuck with that a little bit. I think that's cool. The only piece that doesn't line up with that is the use and discard, right? He's not. That's maybe more of a greed, right? Which is what we're kind of diving into next. But I think there's some overlap there, and I think it's an interesting. Point to make, that Asmodean definitely has a fingerprint on lust right there. That's
I have thoughts on Asmodean, but he is in our section for honorable mentions, so I'll save that for then. But I like it. What about you, Reese? Anything before we move to greed?
I'm good. Let's go.
All right. Sorry, I have to look for my stuff. All right, greed. In early monastic thought, again, it wasn't necessarily about money. It was about refusing to trust that enough was actually enough. Monks define greed or avaratia as the anxiety that you will never have enough to be safe. Kind of like it wasn't about wanting comfort, it was about hoarding security. Hoarding food, like just in case, seeking influence in the monasteries, clinging to status, knowledge, or favor. So greed was dangerous because it shifted trust away from God to possession, instead turned security into an idol, and justified exploitation in the name of preparation. Generally, greed would follow a pattern of fear of loss, accumulation for safety, refusal to let go, and a loss of freedom. And the person that was subject to greed will become owned by what they own, kind of thing. Yeah.
I have a mini rant that I will go on in that I believe that all of the other sins derive from greed because every one of them is a type of greed. Although I feel like you could kind of say that with all of them, where it's like they're all a type of lust, they're all a type of this. But I do think that like they all are like a type of greed. Like sloth is the greed to do nothing. Gluttony is the greed for food. Envy is the greed for possessions. Lust is the greed for pleasure. And I feel like they all come down to greed. Like, again, I feel like this is what you were saying, Josh, where it's like they're basically a catch-all. But my mini rant is like, they are, and that's greed. I feel like they all come down to greed for wanting more than you have of insert the blank.
There's a popular Christian saying that greed is the root of all evil. But I also would agree, because also, not in the same way as like the origin of like all of these other sins, but when I was in college going through poli-sci classes, political science classes, whatever you want to call it, we would read things like Thomas Hobbes and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who would argue whether like the state of man in the state of nature is inherently like peaceful or nice, or man is inherently evil. And I was always like, no, man is inherently greedy. Like that is man at his base nature is greed. You know, the want for, food to eat and never be at risk for needing food again. This greed for, it sounds weird to say because safety has such a positive connotation, but this greed for safety at any expense, right? Doesn't care what it costs anybody else. Doesn't care if I already have enough to be safe and secure. I want enough. I still want more to make sure I am safe. Greed is like what gave away to the invention of currency, so that you can own more than you have adequate immediate use for. You can't use 1,000 apples in a month by yourself, but you can sell the ones you can't for currency, and it's almost like you get to hold on to them without them spoiling and wasting. Which is Thomas Locke's argument about the origin of currency, which I really like. Look at me finally getting to use my degree for something.
Hey.
This is like the 4th time since like I graduated in 2016. It's been useful. So
we talk about greed. We talk about like sort of an origins of humanity kind of a thing. We're tribal by nature, right? We band together. We stick together. We often, without realizing it, set up a hierarchical structure of leadership. Well, okay, so if I'm the chief of a tribe, let's say, or if I'm a member of a tribe, my number one, let's strip this down to basic humanity, right? My number one goal is to make sure that I have enough food, that I have adequate shelter to survive the elements, and that I have enough food to survive year round, right? I want to make sure that I have enough, maybe I have enough livestock to give me protein throughout the winter. I have a garden that can grow me all the produce I need in the summer and the spring and the fall. And then, I have a home, I have shelter that's able to facilitates storage of said livestock and possibly long-term storage of foods, right? Well,
that all
what do I
sounds
want
good
from
and
there?
manageable.
Yeah. What do I want from there? What do I want? What I want is for that to be easier, right? I want that to be easier.
I would argue if you're going in the context of greed, then less of like wanting it to be easier, it's the worry or anxiety that none of that you'll hit a point where that isn't enough.
Right. So that's my point, right? Say there's a famine, and now I don't have vegetables that I can store for the winter. Say there's a blight that kills my livestock. I, as a person, I have a fully innocent desire to hedge my bets against any possible disaster. Maybe I've seen disaster, or maybe I'm anxious and I'm scared of disaster happening. So greed, where's the line drawn between my desire to make sure that I've got everything I need for my family, my tribe, my area of responsibility versus, like where's that line drawing? At what point in time do people look at me and go, Josh, you're just being greedy now?
So
I'm not.
I think this last part for where greed becomes dangerous, I think answers that question. Because as you were going through it, I'm like, fuck, how do I answer that question? Because of course I feel like I need to answer the question. I think the answer truly comes in that it really truly becomes greed when you start justifying exploitation in the name of preparation. When you start saying like, okay, I can charge them double and use them to get other stuff I need because that'll allow me to be more prepared. Or because they're taking away from my preparation. I could put all this in storage. But out of the kindness of my heart, I choose to sell Amiga 0.5% of my wheat.
Like why are you selling it? Why are you not giving it away?
I mean, I'm assuming you're not in the middle of a fan. But the thing is, like, again, you're just like it becomes greed at the point where you're like, it's fine to exploit to either get more of what I'm aiming for or to maintain what I have. And we see this happen throughout like our own history where like you get forced into working in a field and they're like, hey, we'll give you a sack of rice for a good 5 days work or 7 days work. You work 7 days. At the end of your 7 days, you're beyond exhausted. You've got blisters all over the place. You're all fucked up. Your family's counting on a sack of rice to live. And you go to get it and it's like, yeah, I think you could have worked harder. So here's a cup of rice. Have fun. I think that's where I think that's a good point to delineate greed from earnest like preparation, because like there should be no problem with earnest preparation. I don't think there's anything wrong or inherently greedy about being like, I want a bumper storage amount in case there's a famine or in case this goes longer. I think it's reasonable. But when you get to the point where you're like, I'm gonna fuck over everybody else so that I can take and have more because I'm worried this won't be enough in these extreme, whatever the justification is, you're still justifying exploiting other people or other situations to have more for yourself based off of that anxiety that whatever you have may not be enough in a given scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like I just sounded really smart, but said the same thing 4 different ways.
That's all being smart is, Andrew. You correct.
Well, I'm really greedy about my airtime. So, if I can get y'all to just sit there and nod and be like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that's cool. If I can exploit y'all for that.
So this is where it becomes sort of a thing, right? Because I could easily make the case that I will happily screw someone over outside my tribe if it means tribe security. If it means security for me and mine, I will happily screw someone over. Especially if I don't have the ability to take care of them. Now, if I'm a chief and I'm prospering, I welcome more people in because I'm a good person and I want to take care of people. But if it comes down to I can't take care of these people, fine, I'll screw them over to make sure that I can take care of my own. Yeah. Where do we go from there?
There's a distinction there between the active needs and preparation. Greed is an anxiety over not having enough, over I won't be safe in the future. I'm not actively safe in the current. I don't have enough for what's currently happening. So at the point I think we have to differentiate there. At the point where you're like, hey, I'm worried that, hey, I don't have enough for now. and having to do something about that, I think is a fair reality that unless you're lying about it and you're exploiting people and using that as your justification, you're not falling to greed. But it's like, I can't accept these survivors into my village in the winter because I didn't plan for 5, even though I planned to have an extra 3 years worth of food. I didn't plan for an extra 3 years worth of food for an extra 5 people. So I'm not going to do that. Or if I do, they're going to have to be the ones that go out and do the worst possible job. And then, if I'm lucky, they'll die and I don't have to give them any of my food and I'll get something out of it anyway. So it's the, again, justifying that exploitation or those exploitative, fucking English word's not working. Whatever the right version of exploiting is in that, justified exploitative practices in the name of being prepared for a perceived potential risk. Basically, that again, it's that perpetual, it's never enough. I'm not safe until I have more, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get more.
Subscription services that keep going up in price while they keep adding on new services that they never had.
Okay.
And they're not even good services. It's literally if you pay us a good wage for a month, we'll give you all these shows to watch. And then the Netflix gives you the fucking live action adaptation of Death Note. That's the cup of rice when you were promised a whole bag of rice. All right, that's some bullshit.
They weren't able to make live action comment before. That's just plain old greed.
Yeah. And then, even as much as I don't like One Piece, from y'all that like One Piece, I've heard that the live action One Piece is good. Then they go and make something like that to appease the masses. Like, no, look, we're doing a good thing. Meanwhile, then they're like, oh, hey, here's live action, fucking Bleach, whatever.
Well, I will say this specific to One Piece, not to get too far off topic, but specific to One Piece, Oda was very adamant that he get the final say in everything when they did the live action adaptation.
Right.
So when he started,
so many good things.
When he said, yes, you can do it, but I reserve the right to cancel it at any moment if you guys aren't being true to my vision, they went, well, we can do that. And he went, no, if you're not loyal to my vision, if you do not stay true to my vision of what the story is, I will pull the plug on this thing immediately. And I don't care at what point in time the story is going. And I love that. I would say that is an example of a man who does not have greed, right? Now, it's easy to not have greed when you already have, the longest running anime series in history. Okay, cool, great, wonderful. But also, greed would tell me that it doesn't matter how much I have, I could always use a little bit more. I could always have a little bit more. So I would say that Oda is a great example of someone who's successful, not greedy.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying he was. I'm saying Netflix is. But
I'm tying it into it.
That of course the one time Netflix is like, yeah, sure, we'll do a great job at adapting anime to live action. It's still like one of the animes that I'm like, no.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys? Okay, this is mildly. No, this is way off topic. I think it was Hulu made a combination live action animated anime called Dragons of it's like I'm gonna say it wrong because I always said it wrong on purpose. Okay, I think it's Dragons of Wonder Hatch, but I always called it Snatch, of course. And
as you do.
Yeah, of course. And it was like a half anime and half live action. Like
they did Alita Battle Angel. There's also Adam and Eve, a life in animation.
No, it was definitely it's Dragons of Wonder something Hatch. I think it's Dragons of Hatch.
Oh yeah, Dragons of Wonder Hatch animated series. Oh god, this looks fucking horrendous.
It's awful. It's so bad.
Japanese live action / animated series.
Okay, so let me put it this way. It had excellent potential. I was actually really on board with it for a good part.
It was Hulu.
Okay. The one of the main characters Disney. Was Zoro in the live action One Piece. And I think they were making this when he got that job and was like, hey, I got a dip.
Dragons of Wonder Hatch brings Hulu's anime hybrid isekai original to screens. That's got all of the worst like taglines in it. It's Hulu, but it's Disney because it's in the middle of their weird merger. This is like 2024.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's an isekai, but I just looked it up and the first picture I saw was like the fucking cheat. It's still going?
Nuh-uh. Is it really?
The thing said like IMDb says 2023 dash and then doesn't have an end date. So it may not be.
They have more than one season. There's only one season, and it was terrible.
Yeah, they have 8 episodes, but it hasn't been closed, and most of the episodes are rated higher than Wheel of Time.
So, all but the last one were actually better than I expected. I'll admit that. It was not bad. The last episode was so terrible. It was so terrible that's like our only thought was that the actor for Zor, like they did. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I don't know the actor that plays Zorro in the live action. But they did him so dirty. Like it was such a ridiculous, like it was so crazy that we're like, what is this? Like what just happened? This doesn't make any sense. And then like the ending just there, it's a non-ending. It's a non-ending. And I'm like, what did we just watch? Did we just watch an entire season for a cop out? Because I feel like that's what just happened. That's what it felt like. That's my segue. Thanks for playing.
Like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the actor.
No one will ever do anyone. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say the actor who plays Verona Zorro is Makenyu.
That's totally what I was going to say.
No one will
I don't know how you didn't know
worse than how Dragon Ball Evolutions did any character. We don't. I feel like Ollivander. When someone's like, "Oh, what's that horrible live action Dragon Ball like movie?" Oh, we don't speak his name. Speaking of names, should we do Gluttony?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Well, real quick, what
Forsaken
do you feel like fits greed the most?
Oh shit, we never talked about that.
I know we kind of did like a blanket. No, you're good. I know we kind of did a blanket statement that all of them kind of are foundationed in greed, but getting outside of who specializes in greed. I know we all took, all the Forsaken took basics, right? But who specialized in greed? Who got a degree in greed?
Rahvin did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That was him, huh?
So So it's this desire for power, and you're never going to be safe with no restraint, right? And so he winds up taking Andor and trying to make it like his own stronghold and a personal feeding ground for all of his other like vices and virtues. He's just trying to hoard power and just continuously gain and hoard power, not wielding it strategically overall in the desires of the shadow or the dark one. Can I stop burping every 5 seconds? Sorry.
No.
Everybody. To the point where he uses like an excessive amount of compulsion, like a sloppily excessive amount of compulsion, which I think is like one of the things that leads to him being discovered. And then he severely overextends himself and his abilities and his cronies, which also leads to them all being exposed. And so this greed for safety makes him sloppy, which does, again, the Confucian thing, and makes him inherently not safe because it exposes him for what he's doing. What you think?
I like that too. And I'm going to use the example of, because we don't see a lot of him except for in Andor, right? In Camelin.
Yeah.
And he didn't go to Camelin.
He came in Lynn.
Hey.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. Rahvin's like one of the most like abusive fucking Forsaken. I'm sorry.
He is.
We're all getting canceled this episode.
But herein lies the issue, right? There's 15 kingdoms he could have gone to. He went to the largest kingdom. He went to the kingdom. He could have gone to
Ilion because Samael was there.
But therein lies my point, right?
I just like arguing with you and being like, actually, Josh, we've been severely like lacking in somebody to tell us how we're wrong.
It's true. We haven't argued in a while. But he went to the biggest kingdom with the most influence, with the most resources.
Have that anal beat tug of war though at Gathering Madness. So
I still say you won on a technicality.
Hey man, diarrhea still counts as a loss. Don't get mad at me because your dark tunnel turned into a slip and slide. Water coming out the hose is real muddy. That's all we got from Leia.
That's a thing that just happened. Welcome to BTP. If you were curious as to whether or not, yeah. Okay.
It sounded like. Reese is gonna have to go back and watch this part of the episode just to be like, what did I miss? What was that?
What did I miss? Yep.
I don't know if you can carry your earbuds with you. This is why I make sure to be able to carry an earbud with me.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, that's why I have the wireless earbuds, and I just leave one in.
I have to check the battery on mine. The old pair I had did not have good enough battery to make it through a full episode. So I'll see if my new ones do, because that would be great.
The good news is, getting one is a business expense.
Hey.
I don't know how much that $40 to $60 is going to help on your tax return, but
well, that's one thing we're gonna figure out. It'll be great. Anyway, so he went to the biggest, most powerful kingdom. Yeah, he did get some. I'm definitely going to say he got some, but it wasn't just Morghese. I'm sure he was laying pipe all throughout the royal court. But
Morghese, less straights. It could have been any amalgamation of people.
Sent a lot of people away. It was very targeted. I missed it. I'm happy I did.
It's okay.
It was very targeted.
That's probably for the better.
To unseat the amount of power that was currently there and to set himself up with the most amount of power, therefore leaning more into greed. Like he cared more about his hold on the region than he did about getting laid. And I think that's a great distinction between greed and lust.
You gotta hold the region before you get laid, man. Simple fact.
And even when it came down, even when it came between getting laid and holding the region, he prioritized holding the region.
It's true.
He had a good hold.
Maybe even the best hold. Anyway,
some say.
Don't be rude.
Oh, all right. Gluttony, because we're severely over time, but there's not enough left on this topic to do a part 3.
Fair.
All right. Gluttony, quick, fast, in a hurry. Gluttony was not about being fat or loving food. Thank the heavens. It was about losing control of appetite. It was about gluttony, or gula, was letting appetite rule the when, how, and why you consume. It's not what you eat, it's who's in charge of all of your eating habits. Why monks cared? It was one of the few pleasures monks still had. That's what made it dangerous. This showed up as things like eating for pleasure instead of nourishment, fixating on quality, timing, or quantity of food, letting anticipation of eating dominate the day. To monks, gluttony wasn't excess, it was preoccupation. With a simple pattern: appetite demands satisfaction, attention shifts towards consumption, self-control weakens, and other desires follow after that. Gluttony trains the soul to obey impulses. And once appetite rules food, it's ready to rule everything else. So, for this one, I say Aginor for gluttony. What say ye, my council of 3, including me?
Yeah, I think for the Forsaken, that definitely fits. I was actually, as you were going through the definition, I was actually thinking of, dang it.
Dang me.
I forgot the name.
Dang me.
It's... Yeah,
You can't finish the rest of that song because it might be problematic.
I was thinking of... Oh, Semirog. I was thinking of Semirog for gluttony. Because I feel like a lot of her experiments are not necessarily just for pain. They are for knowledge. She wants to see how far they can go before they give way to the pain. So it's like not
well.
necessarily just for the pain itself.
Actually, you have to picture him pushing up glasses. Actually, you can't say that Cimarog is under Gluttony because you agreed that Cimarog was under Wrath. So, actually,
I can do whatever I want.
you can, absolutely. You can. Absolutely.
But
for part one, we put Cimarog under Wrath.
It's a perfect fit. But given the definition for Gluttony, I was thinking of her.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like
I can see why that would happen. Excess without moderation.
I once created a character who it was in the Vampires the Masquerade tabletop gaming universe. And in there, to add some flavor to your character, you have to pick a vice. And it usually falls under one of the 7 deadly sins, and then the nature of that vice. I chose gluttony, and I chose a gluttony for violence. And it was great, because every time I got into a fight, I had to roll, constitution checks, constitution saves, in order to stop pummeling. I also made my character a giant.
How about new, you crazy Dutch bastard?
I had to roll these checks to make sure I wasn't just gonna pummel these people into pulp. And
so you pulled the interview thing of turning a weakness into a strength.
It sucked because when I would pummel someone and kill them, we could no longer get information out of them, and we had to use other investigative resources. And I will even say that the DM who was running the campaign at the time was like, you killed like 3 people that had information you needed. Because my guy was just about that violent. So when it comes to gluttony, when it comes to that kind of like hunger without limitation, I love the Aginor angle there, because it's got an Odin tie-in as well. I want all the knowledge. I don't care what it costs me. I don't care what I have to do. Oh, you want me to pull out my own eye? Perfect. I'm there. Oh, you want me to impale myself on a tree and hang there for 9 days? Perfect. I'm there. There's no check on that. And I think Aginor has that, even creating things he didn't understand and fear. And I think that's a great way to define gluttony.
You want another great way and a way better way to understand the 7 deadly sins than the anime 7 deadly sins? Full Metal Alchemist. Because all of the homunculi that are created are representative of one of the deadly sins. There's envy, there's lust, there's gluttony. Gluttony's like funny until he does something, and then he's fucking terrifying because he literally has a bottomless stomach. So for Aginor being gluttony, relatively quick, his gluttonous nature was for knowledge, not food. Endless consumption of lives for his experimentation. In fact, this is entirely what drove him, or a big portion of what drove him to join the Shadow, so that he could continue his unabashed and unabated experimentation. It's this gluttony, this desire for knowledge, and who cares who has to suffer for it, that led to the creation of all the Shadow Spawn. And we get to see that, like, when we finally see Aginor and Eye of the World, he's physically decayed despite being sealed away. This kind of like mirrors that push through excess where you've done so much where it's like detrimental to your own health. But ultimately, he's consumed by the same forces he feeds, by the same forces he fed. And that's a reoccurring theme amongst all these, is that your downfall, the Forsaken, they get ascribed, or that we generally try to come to a consensus with it, get one of the 7 deadly sins, they kind of fall victim to the same sin that they propagated. And again, it's not just a sin they propagated or engaged in. It's like the predominant one that dominated their life. Anything else about gluttony before we move to sloth?
I had a non-forsaken runner-up for gluttony in that.
We didn't do your non-forsaken runner-up for greed, did we?
We didn't, but that's okay.
They deserve an honorable mention. You can just say them, and everybody will immediately understand, I think.
My honorable mention for greed was Padden Fane.
Shocker.
That's... Ooh. Oh.
And my honorable mention for gluttony is the Finn.
There you go. I like that one.
I do too. I don't know why I just said I do. It was marriage. We get married.
We did. We just got married.
Engaged in this conversation, Andrew.
We got promoted to husband.
I ain't no
husband.
combat. I got promoted from customer to husband. Yeah, no, I like that. I think the fin fit perfectly. I mean, it's kind of their whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
oh, there's yummy emotions. Thank you for the sacrifice. Here, have another sacrifice. No, I couldn't possibly eat another sacrifice. No, I don't want another sacrifice. Actually, that would be against gluttony, turning down one, I guess. But
that's true. That's true.
All right, sweet. Sloth here. It's monastic tradition of sloth. As you can see out in the wilderness, an early monastic thought. Sloth had nothing to do with laziness. I don't know where my fucking accents. Let's just stop that there. It was about giving up on the good because it felt too heavy. Sloth or acedia was spiritual exhaustion that makes meaning feel pointless. It's not rest, it's avoidance. Sloth shows up as, for the monks, dreading prayer or work, constant boredom or restlessness. Like, how dare you be fucking bored? Fantasizing about escape, which is an interesting phrasing to use. Doing anything except what matters. More fucking manipulative language, but, you know, it is what it is. To monks, sloth was dangerous because it made virtue feel unbearable, turned purpose into burden, and led to quiet despair. I'm not gonna lie, the way that phrase turned purpose into burden rolls off the tongue makes it sound pretty like that's a good fucking phrase to use. That would be a slogan in a demonstration, like, and it would do numbers. Mm-hmm. Turning purpose into burden.
Probably.
So how it works, the monastic psychology behind sloth. Doing the good feels demanding. Your motivation collapses. Distraction replaces commitment, and then the soul disengages from doing the good. Sloth isn't inactivity, it's a refusal. It isn't greed, it isn't gluttony, it isn't lust. Sloth says this isn't worth the effort anymore, and it kills growth, responsibility, and hope. With that in mind, Reese, do you have a Forsaken in mind for Sloth?
Let's see. We got a few here listed.
Yep.
Let's see. So I think with this list, I'm going to take the honorable mention.
Okay.
For this one. And that was Asmodean. And I think this fits just because I feel like he was more of like a passive actor in this, where he was like, I'll kind of see what happens. I'm kind of, I'm here for the music, but if I have to be along, I guess I'll follow this guy. I guess I'll see where this goes. I guess we'll see what happens here. I guess I'll have bot here if I have to. I guess.
All I care about is staying alive, and this is my best chance.
Yeah.
I like the aspect of Sloth outlined here in that I'm not going to act on things. I'm going to react to things. I think that's a really great distinction to make, because I would also throw Mogedian out there as well as someone who's guilty of sloth. And it's not about cowardice. It's not about fear. It's about, I am unwilling to commit to a course of action until the course of action is either decided for me or forces me into action. And I think those are the two Forsaken that really encapsulate that.
Anything else on Asmodean, Reese, for Sloth?
No, that's about it.
Okay. I'll quickly do the other two mentions. I think Bel'al is the best. The other two mentions are Bel'al and Masana. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama sana, na na. Bel'al is kind of like a strategic sloth, right? Waiting instead of acting. I'll win eventually, so I don't really need to worry about doing anything now. I'll wait for Loose Theron to pull out Kalendor rather than going and doing it myself. So he sits there and waits and relies on traps and proxies and what he feels is inevitability. And I don't have to adapt or improvise. It's just going to happen. I'm just prepared. And like, he basically just postpones everything. And he's like, finally, it's my time. And Rain is like, bzz, bug zappered your ass. So his very passive strategy in tier leads to his ultimate irrelevance and downfall. Like, Bel'al is, of the Forsaken, he's like the most throwaway character. Like, he shows up in the stone and be like, I exist, bug zapper.
The fuck you do?
Yeah, it's just fucking gone. I think it gets reborn, but it doesn't fucking matter. Masana is more like an institutional sloth, or has like fear-driven kind of paralysis. You know, if I do something, I might lose, so I just won't do anything. So Masana like hides inside of the White Tower instead of actively ruling it or controlling it. Avoids like any kind of decisive action despite having an immense amount of influence. Delegates endlessly, like always pushes it off on someone else instead of doing something and committing fully themselves. And just kind of lets fear of exposure dictate their every move. And it basically pulls Masana into a state of like paralysis. Constantly busy, but never decisive. And this leaves her bold and exposed and powerless. And it's, again, avoidance point of fear, not fatigue. And ultimately, because you just stagnate and sit there, it leads to your downfall. Now, earlier... any comments on Masana or Bel'al as Sloth before I say anything else?
Nope. I think you got that one.
Mm-hmm.
I said earlier that I had some thoughts specifically on Asmodean. I do, if we absolutely had to assign him to one of the 7 deadly sins, Sloth fits best for Asmodean. I don't think Asmodean fits Sloth best, so I wouldn't assign it to him. Which is where I'm like, Asmodean is a Forsaken we can't assign any of the 7 deadly sins to. Because Asmodean, he kind of exists as, he represents what happens after a deadly sin burns itself out, right? After Lanfear kind of like pseudo betrays him, because are any of the Forsaken really allies or whatever? I mean, they're on the same team, but it's like,
yeah, they're frenemies at best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After then, he just falls into whatever. Like, when you look at Pride, like, he wants recognition, but doesn't believe he deserves it anymore. So there's no self-exaltation there. For Lust, he indulges, but Lust requires domination or objectification of others, and he's just kind of escapist or controlling, or escapist not controlling. For Greed, he wants comfort, not accumulation, so he's kind of fine with just passing by and surviving. He's kind of trying to lay low and survive. Wrath and Envy, he's just too passive and too resigned to fit amongst that. And he's not raging against the others or resenting them. He's just kind of given up on the competition. Like, I'm not even playing the same game anymore. So if there's one that he fits, it's Sloth, but even then, it's... Again, he's like the ghost image of what happens after a deadly sin has already taken its toll, kind of thing. Like he's just, much as I hate to say it, like he's just there.
Yeah.
He's not.
I mean, he plays a role later as the reincarnated version of blah blah blah. But yeah, no.
Of My Chemical Romance.
That's the one.
When I was a young boy.
Sweet.
We talked about we've already talked about all of our honorable mentions. We talked about Ishamael or Morden in part 1. Lanfear we talked about here. Moghedien we touched on here. Asmodean we talked on here, which I do enjoy. I'm glad that we did kind of talk. Any of those you want to touch on very quickly again or expand on?
No, I think I'm happy with what we covered.
As our second to last section.
Am happy.
Mm-hmm.
So our last real section before we say goodbye is kind of like, what does this whole thought experiment reveal or tell us about the Forsaken? Like, why is this even useful in talking about the Forsaken, right? Something I think we already knew, but it really drives home just how not united by ideology the Forsaken are. How distinctly different they all are in their methodologies, in their ideologies, in their zoologies, in their biologies, in their phrenologies, picanology. They're just different in almost every facet. They all want something different. They all have different ways of getting there. They all think their way is the best way. So they have essentially no teamwork in the grand scheme. It's most like dysfunctional piece of shit special operations group that was ever created.
Yeah, most of the teamwork is just mutually assured destruction.
Yeah. Fucking Suicide Squad worked better than the Forsaken does. And kind of their predisposition to, if we take it under the lens of the deadly sins, their sins actively undermine the desires and actions of the shadow. So
which is ironic.
Yeah. They take actions that directly go against their master's will. And even with that, 90% of the time, their master doesn't really honestly seem to give a shit. Like, the most he does, you failed. Now you're ugly. You failed. Now you're a woman. Like, really, like, it's fucked up, but it's also, like, the most childish shit. Like, the Dark One is 6 years old, all right? He is. He's 6 years old. Mom said no more cookies, and he's like, I'm destroying the world.
You're not wrong.
Like, I would like to see you try, and throws him into the boar.
Yeah. That's literally what happens. Like, he makes Lanfear uglier in Sindane. He makes, what is it, Osen? Is it Osengar that becomes Halima? Or Erengar? One of the two.
I can never remember. I can never get those two.
I can't either. But he makes a guy be reborn into a woman's body, but still with a male soul, as punishment.
So he's just like, hey, all right.
I mean, yeah, for a lot of guys, that's like, you know, that's like the whole premise of the end of, what is that, the Little Dicky song, Freaky Friday? I got a vagina. I'm going to explore that shit right now. I'm going to finally understand the inner workings of a woman.
I think that brings up a whole conversation topic that we could just really dive into.
Why Shaitan is 6 years old? He's an angry kid in daycare writing a fantasy series and it sucks. Yeah, I mean, he is. Like, none of it makes any sense. None of it's like a legitimate punishment.
Correct.
Like, oh, Lanfear, you couldn't even get the one guy you wanted back, so now I'm just gonna rebirth you uglier. Like, how much of a choice did he actually have? They were limited on bodies to reborn the Forsaken into, because it had to be a body that could handle channeling. Was he just like, oh, this is your punishment, and it's just because he literally didn't have anything else?
He's like,
couldn't do anything
out
else?
all the other bodies. Now it's a punishment. I don't know.
Yeah, he had like 2 female bodies at the end of it, and one was slightly less attractive than the other, and he was like, here you go. What a fucking joke. We've given, like, I know we've done episodes talking about, like, the cosmic forces that Shaitan can exert, and now I'm just like, no, he's just a fucking angry toddler. Oh, yeah, well, you're ugly. Oh, yeah, well, you look like a girl. Like, literally toddler fucking insults. What a fucking joke. Anyway. What do you guys think? What do you think about which Forsaken embody which sins? Go back and listen to part 1. See what we did with Wrath, Pride, and Envy there. And let us know. What do you think? Did we do good? Did we do bad? Did we not do enough? Do you not care?
Do we not
let
care?
Us know.
A little bit of sloth all around.
Hey-o.
But tell us what you think. Comments down below. It helps us out a lot. Don't forget to like the video, share it, subscribe if you enjoy what we do here. All that fun stuff. Very short, very concise. Final thoughts. Josh, you got anything?
No, just that once again we've discussed the topic of the Forsaken, and you know, I think as a general conclusion we can come to is that we can say that the Forsaken themselves succumb to their more base desires, and those base desires coalesce in a particular category which falls under one of these 7 deadly sins. And I think that's an interesting sort of element as to why they are the way they are. And I like it. I think that's great.
All I could think of was John Wick. Come on, John, let us not fall prey to our baser instincts.
Yes.
I'm going to say, like, yeah, I mean, to say that they were ineffectual, like, on paper is one thing. To see them being ineffectual is another thing. To even try to give them the benefit of, like, having an intrinsic fault of a 7 deadly sin and still being like, not only are you all failures, but your boss is an angry 6-year-old in daycare.
Which might also explain why he doesn't care about all the squabbling they do amongst themselves.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking bad. Yeah. What you got, Reese?
Yeah, I think it's funny. It's kind of like the reason they didn't succeed is because they embody these sins so well. Like
Calls are coming from
that's
inside
part
the
of
house.
why they fell is because it's like, yeah, it's because of these things, these habits that everybody had that it didn't work out. And even funnier, we had somewhere in our in the outline about nihilism, and it's funny because it's almost like that's the creators. He doesn't care. He's or
Hmm?
not the creator, the dark one. He doesn't care. He's the nihilist of the group. He doesn't care about their motivations. He is the 6-year-old where it's like, I don't care what you do, just destroy it all. Destroy
Just
it all.
give me
It
my
doesn't
cookie.
exist. We are not here. We never were here.
It's like the Sheldon meme of like, I don't need sleep, I need answers. It's like, I don't need loyalty, I need results. And then he doesn't get results, and he's like,
Right.
try again. Like, what?
There are no results.
Kind of makes me feel like we know he's not, because we know the feats of the people doing it, and there's more to it. But it feels like after like this part too, I'm like, wow, he's really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like this really paints them all in a really super shitty, lackluster light.
I mean, I know it's kind of funny to think about. It's like it took us 3,000 years to take these guys down.
Yeah, 3,000 years to think of a plan, and this is the best you have.
Really? This is it. Oh, okay.
All right. I guess I feel a lot better about society right now, to be honest.
I'm gonna take over a city that has 9 bees as the symbol, and send dark hounds after you. It was honestly one of the better fucking plans. Better than Bel'al that was like, I'm just gonna sit here and watch until he goes to take it, then I'll snipe it from him. And he's like, what you get? Fucking loot sniper. Anyway, let us all know what you think down in the show notes or comments or whatever you call it down below. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back next week talking about more Wheel of Time. Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. I've been Andrew, your Bijon Mahale.
And Reese, your Ethan Mahale.
And I have been Josh, the Mahale of the Storavan. And we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for slurping up this week's dose of taint. And wherever you are out there, we hope you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here. Good night.
You've been waiting for this moment, for this feeling to grow. In the shadows, always watching, always running the show.